We have seized 6,000 weapons and 23,000 violent felons have been arrested.
FBI agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oil.
Tonight, explosive exchanges as FBI Director Kash Patel faces the heat over loyalty tests, political firings, and a bureau reshaped for one agenda. You won't believe what he's dodging.
Mr. Patel, I want to start off where we left off last time. I asked you whether you had any knowledge or discussions about removing FBI officials and installing political personnel before you were confirmed to that position. And I wonder, did you then understand or have conversations with the White House about the intentions to do so?
Before I was confirmed?
Yes, sir.
Did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were confirmed.
And I'm assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
That's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator, that the Department of Justice...
You and I both understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
there is no premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Patel, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a simple question. If you have
Mr.
a
Patel,
transcript,
during
you can
your
read
nomination,
the question, but you don't have it.
You promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025. And in that letter, you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States. And so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. Did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security Task Force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to success of the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely
Have there been
false.
any FBI agents?
Now let's cut through the noise and look at what the actual record reveals. This hearing is a microcosm of the broader controversy surrounding Director Kash Patel's tenure, which began after his narrow Senate confirmation in February 2025. From the outset, the exchange highlights a pattern: repeated questions about pre-confirmation discussions on removing FBI personnel, and Patel's careful parsing of words, yes, no, before clarifying that talks were about failing to meet the mark, not explicit loyalty purges. But the senator pushes hard, tying it to sworn promises during confirmation that no retribution would occur for agents involved in Trump-related cases. The record shows credible allegations, backed by lawsuits from fired officials like Brian Driscoll, former acting director and Newark SAC, a 20-year veteran with Valor Awards, that terminations in summer/fall 2025 were part of a broader effort to address perceived disloyalty. Driscoll's October 2025 termination letter citing Article 2 authority raised eyebrows, as directors don't wield presidential powers. Patel repeatedly invoked litigation to avoid details, a common tactic but one that fuels perceptions of opacity. Then there's the Mar-a-Lago pivot. The senator revisits Patel's alleged grand jury testimony from the 2022 Trump documents probe, claiming Trump declassified materials. Patel deflects masterfully, citing no public transcript, the best evidence rule, and his push for release, while the senator notes courts have blocked full disclosure but allow witnesses to discuss their own testimony. This is classic evasion, no direct yes/no comes, preserving deniability but amplifying distrust, especially given Patel's history as a Trump advisor who publicly asserted broad declassification occurred. The dialogue shifts to consultations with Stephen Miller and AG Pam Bondi. Patel acknowledges frequent talks, framing them as invaluable for interagency ops and homeland security, but sidesteps whether Miller opined on FBI management. This raises valid questions about external influence on an agency meant to be independent. Finally, the resource diversion claim. The senator alleges 20% of FBI agents shifted to ICE immigration enforcement, per Cato Institute data from 2025 reports, including potential reassignment of child crimes investigators. Patel calls the premise entirely false, but independent analyses, from libertarian and mainstream sources, confirm significant diversions, up to nearly half in major offices at peaks, tied to Trump's mass deportation push. Critics argue this hollows out core missions like counterterrorism and child protection. Defenders say it's temporary and necessary for border security. What does this all add up to? A bureau in transition, with historic firsts, no director or deputy with prior FBI experience, senior purges unprecedented since the Hoover era, and a pivot toward immigration amid lawsuits alleging retribution. Patel's defenses, performance-based decisions, no White House dictates, clash with whistleblower accounts and litigation claiming otherwise. The hearing underscores deep polarization. Is this reform of a weaponized agency, or politicization of law enforcement? The real test isn't the shouting matches, it's whether public trust in the FBI can survive. So far, the silence on key details speaks volumes.